Oh, hey. Sorry, I was looking for a clue. So that way I could give one to the administration, Biden and Harris, since obviously they don't have one. Hey guys, it's the CommonSensei here, and welcome back to another episode of the I'm Just Sayin video podcast, where I serve as your tour guide through this minefield of liberal idiocy, ridiculousness, and stupidity. Okay, so I talked about giving Biden and Harris a clue. There's a lot going on right now. Wages are up. Wages are up 5.9%. But so is inflation. It's up. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about violent crime. That's up. Midterms are 7 months away. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Gas, you already know, is up in some places over $6 a gallon. We're going to talk about Pete Buttigieg, our secretary of who knows what. And then we're going to talk a little bit about electric vehicles. There's a new justice on the Supreme Court. I'm going to talk about that a little bit and try to put all these pieces together. All right? There's a lot going on. I get it. And we're going to try to get through this in a timely fashion. So sit right back, relax, have a little sip of your Black Rifle coffee. And let's get it on. Now, you know, it never ceases to amaze me how stupid liberals tend to think that the American public is. Okay, so the Biden administration put out recently that wages are up over the last year 5.9%. And that's true. That's actually true. The problem is that inflation is also up, and it's up 7.9%. So let's put this in a little bit of perspective, okay? So 5.9%, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, round it up to 6%, that wages are up. And then we'll also round the 7.9% up to 8%, just to make the math easy. So let's say, for example, that you make $10 an hour. Somebody makes $10 an hour, okay? So before you made $10 an hour, went up 6%. 6% of $10 an hour is 60 cents. Okay, so now you're making $10.60 an hour. But the problem is, inflation is almost 8%. So that equates 8% of $10 an hour is 80 cents. So if you subtract that, then you're actually making $9.80 an hour once you adjust for inflation. So you did not get a pay raise of 6%, you actually lost 2%. So instead of making $10 an hour, you're now making $9.80 an hour. So that actually equates to a 2% net loss. Here's the funniest part about this. Now, a few weeks ago, almost a month ago, Congress voted to give themselves a 21% raise. That's right, 21%. That's more than 2.5 times the rate of inflation. So while we're taking that 2% net loss, these guys are giving themselves a raise. Now, if you adjust that for inflation, well, that's about 13% total that they're getting on top of it. That's a 15% gap between what we're getting and what they're getting. So our tax dollars are going to give them a raise. All the meantime, while we're having to pay more for gas and we're taking a 2% cut. What? That's how inflation works, folks, okay? Which brings me to gas, all right? I talked about gas in my last podcast. It's up some places. I mean, it's well over $4 on national average. Anyways, it's up over $6 a gallon in some places, okay? So the price of gas is astronomical right now. So Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris think that, you know what, it's a great idea. If you don't like the price of gas, if you can't afford the price of gas, then you should go out and you should buy an electric vehicle. Makes sense, right? No, it doesn't make sense. And I'm going to tell you why it doesn't make sense here in a second. But look at this clip. Okay, I've got a clip I want to show you of Buttigieg, and I got a clip I want to show you of Kamala Harris. You're not even going to understand what they're saying. I don't understand what they're saying, so maybe somebody after you watch this clip, can explain it to me.
Last month, we announced a $5 billion investment to build out a nationwide electric vehicle charging network so that people from rural to suburban to urban communities can all benefit from the gas savings of driving an EV.
And then there's Kamala Harris. Huh! Sorry, wrong clip.
We are all in the midst of a turning point. We have the technology to transition to a zero-emission fleet. We can address the climate crisis and grow our economy at the same time.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Okay, so let's talk about something that does make sense. Numbers don't lie. So let's talk numbers a little bit. According to C-SPAN, the average cost of an electric vehicle is $56,437. Now, according to Kelley Blue Book, it's a little bit more than that, and I'll get into that in a second. But at $56,437, please remember that price tag. Okay, that doesn't include interest. That's only the MSRP. Now, if you buy an electric vehicle, you'll actually save money on gas. Over the course of about 7 years, you'll save about $4,700 in gas. That breaks down to $670 per year. Now, at that rate, if you take your $56,437 sticker price, then it would only take, by using that money that you save, that $670 a year, it would take you approximately 84 years to pay off that vehicle using those savings. Toasty! Okay, so now let's look at the other average price of gas according to Kelley Blue Book, $60,000. Okay, $60,000 MSRP, using the same math, $670 per year savings in gas by using an electric vehicle. It'll take you 89.5 years to pay that off. Now, do you think the price of electric vehicles is going to come down? No. Of course the price of vehicles isn't going to come down. I'm just saying. Look, the price of nothing ever comes down, or at least very rarely. Houses don't go down unless the market crashes. Careful. Taxes never go down, they only go up. The price of business goes up, everything goes up, all right? Anyways, I digress. So, look, we all know that Joe Biden's not running squat. TT, very little. You don't believe me? I'm telling you right now. They do, or they tell him what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and why to say it. And he says it. At some point, somebody whispered in his ear, "Hey, Joe, if you run for president, we'll make sure you get elected, just as long as you do everything we say." Don't believe me? Check this out. Now, this was at a recent extravaganza at the White House in which they were celebrating the 12th anniversary of Obamacare. Look at Joe, walking around. I almost feel sorry for him. Like, nobody wants to talk to this guy. You see Pelosi, who knows who this guy is, that's like all hunched over. There's people even talking to him. All these military folks, nobody, the Vice President Obama's over here shaking hands. Nobody wants to talk to Uncle Joe. Nobody. Here's Obama. Oh, hey, yeah, shaking hands, smiling. Look at Joe. He's all lost in the sauce. This guy has no idea. He's got his hand on Obama. Obama's like, yeah, you know I'm in charge. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the President of the United States of America. Supposed to be the most powerful man, the most influential man in the entire world. And nobody wants to talk to him. There's something definitely wrong with that picture. This is the guy who is nominating people for the Supreme Court of the United States. And speaking of that, this is the guy that said the only person that he's going to nominate for the Supreme Court is a black woman. Now, I'm not saying that a black woman can't be on the Supreme Court, but if you're narrowing it down to just a black woman, what about the black man? What about the Hispanic man? What about the Hispanic woman? Asian man, Asian woman. White man, white woman. Native American man, Native American woman. The fact that you're going to say, you know what, I'm not going to pick the best person, the person who's most qualified for the job, whoever that may be, and maybe it is a black woman, maybe it isn't. But when you narrow it down and say, no matter what, I'm going to pick a black woman for the Supreme Court, guess what? That in and of itself is racist. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't. Could you imagine if President Trump had said something like this? I'm only going to pick this person because of their gender and the color of their skin. People would have gone ape shit. Anyway, all right, whatever. So we all know crime is up. In fact, here's a cool statistic. Did you know that on average, violent crime in Democrat-run cities, on average, is 42% higher than in Republican-run cities? Now, I'm not a Republican. You already know this. I'm a conservative. I'm a constitutional conservative. But these liberals, with this whole defund the police thing, just let people do whatever they want to do, smash and grab, robberies. New York City, yesterday, had a bunch of people shot on a subway. Guess what? That probably wouldn't have happened, or they're still looking for the guy. Now, it might have happened, but he wouldn't have shot 10 people. I can guarantee you that. Not in Texas, not in Florida, not in Utah, not in Wyoming or the Dakotas, all right? Because that guy would have got 2 steps out of the subway and somebody would have popped him. Like that guy at a church in Texas a couple of years ago when a dude walked in and started shooting people. Some old man with a gun pulled one out and snuffed the guy. But, you know, gun laws work, as you can tell, in New York City, where it's really hard to own a gun unless you're a criminal, and then you can own a gun. Anyway, you get the idea, all right? It's ridiculous. Look, folks, I keep talking about midterms. It's 7 months away. 7 months. Now, listen. If you're not talking to people about these numbers, if you're not waking people up, if you're not sharing this information, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing all of us a disservice. Voting's not enough. That's not enough. That's one voice. We have to change mindsets. We have to change how people think. They're being fed by this propaganda machine, the mainstream media, into thinking that everything's hunky-dory. Everything's great. The world is full of rainbows and unicorns. It's not. We have to change mindsets. You need to talk to people. Okay? 7 months. We have to take back the House. We have to take back the Senate. Now, I'm sorry, Utah, you're stuck with Mitt Romney for another 2 years, okay? That guy's a swamp rat bigger than anybody. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. So in 2 years, when we're up for midterms again, okay, when it's time to vote again, get rid of him. For the love of God. Anyways, look. Midterms, 7 months. All right? We have nobody to blame but ourselves if we don't get hot on it. All right. So, anyways, I'm just saying. Hey, look, I'm the CommonSensei. I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Please pass it along to people that you know. Let's get the word out. All right? Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. I appreciate you again tuning in to another episode of the I'm Just Sayin video podcast. We'll see you next time. Take care.